Welcome everyone to Crypto News Global. I'm your host Nick Toka. Today is June 2nd, 2025. On today's show, VanEck warns of a brief but critical uncertainty window for Bitcoin to adapt to quantum threats. AI's power consumption will dwarf Bitcoins by year's end, says study. And another Bitcoin buyer, Nasdaq-Listed Reitar, Logtech plans $1.5 billion in Bitcoin purposes. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka, and let's get right into some Bitcoin technical analysis before we get into what I would consider some awkward stories today. Checking out the Bitcoin price, we are up 0.75%, $106,000. Ethereum up 3.5%, $26.25. Solana up 1%, $159. XRP up 1.5%, $221. Doge up 2% to just under 20 cents. Taking a look at the Crypto's Bubble website, we've got about 90% in the green. Maker up 10%, Whiff up 10%, Hype up 8%, Pepe up 6.5%, Sky up 10%. Zooming out to the weekly, we have this white rock, which is, ironically enough, down. One of the few that are down today, down 7%. For the week, they're way up. The big winner, 163% for the week. About 75%, maybe even more, close to 85% in the red for the week. And looking at the monthly, we see about a 60, maybe a 70-30 mix. Greens on top. White Rock up 230%. Hype up 75%. Pepe up 55%. Zcash up 51%. Checking out the total market cap, we have a Bitcoin sitting at $2.114 trillion, Ethereum 317 billion, XRP 130 billion, Solana 83 billion, Doge 29 billion, Tron 25 billion, Cardano 24 billion, Hype 12.5 billion. Above Sui, which is sitting at 11.5 billion, Chainlink 9 billion, AVAX 9 billion as well. Total market cap at $3.3 trillion, up a little bit from yesterday. It was at 3.25 yesterday. Bitcoin holds 64.2% of that. Ethereum 9.6%. XRP 4% of the total supply. Checking out the M2 global money supply, we see that the trend continues where both the M2 money supply and the Bitcoin really are following each other very, very closely. About 90 days behind is what Bitcoin is at. And let's take a look at something else here, because I know the total hash rate is currently sitting at another all-time high. There it is in the blue. Total hash rate hit an all-time high, I believe it was yesterday, which is at 942 billion terahashes per second. Is that billion? Or is it trillion? Let's see how many zeros we've got there. A million, a billion, 942 billion terahashes per second, getting really close to a trillion terahashes per second. So, Max Kaiser always says the price always follows the hash rate, and we see the hash rate way up. Also, the stronger the hash, the more secure the network is. So, we've got a story today talking about quantum computing, and I think people are just freaking out because I've done this math before, and we're still talking about there's some new news that came out. Every new piece of frickin' news that comes out, things always change. But according to my last calculation, it would still take 1,000 years to break the algorithm of the Bitcoin. So we'll get into this story a little deeper. I know last week some new news came out. Google said, our quantum computer is stronger than we thought. We can now break the code in 950 years or some shit like that, right? And everybody's freaking out. Crypto Fear and Greed Index currently sitting at a 58 in neutral. Yesterday was 57 in neutral. Last week a 68 in greed. There are 1,045 blocks until the next halving. Days until the next halving 2028, with 150,000 blocks until then. To go through total assets by market cap, we've got gold up a bit to 22.8 trillion bucks. Microsoft sitting at number 2, 3.4 billion. Trillion. Nvidia 3.3 trillion, Apple 3 trillion, Amazon 2.193 trillion, Bitcoin 2.112 trillion, Google 2.060 trillion. Again, those three very, very close together. Silver has jumped up to the number 8 position, 1.959 trillion bucks, up drastically today. Fuckbook, number 9, 1.6, we'll call it 1.7 trillion bucks. Saudi Aramco sitting in the number 10 position at 1.6 trillion. You can currently get 940 satoshis for one fiat US dollar. The number keeps going down on that. And speaking of the fiat crap, the U.S. national debt currently sits at 36,929 billion, or 107,819 per U.S. citizen, which equals to 323,051 per U.S. taxpayer. The Doge savings clock has now surpassed $500 billion bucks, sitting at 503 billion and some change, equaling to 4,480 bucks per taxpayer since the department was instituted. I guess that was January 20th. So we're coming on to, I guess we've passed 4 months. So again, it's sitting at $1,000 a month per U.S. taxpayer that they're saving. So congratulations to everybody. I'm hoping that at one point, what'll turn around this whole department and make everybody love them again, which they should have been from the beginning, is if they say, oh, we've saved $500 billion. We're now sending a check of $44.79 to each taxpayer. Imagine that, eh? Then you'd see some happy people. Then the Democrats would be probably rioting even more in the streets, saying, how can you do that? You saved all this money and now you're just going to spend it, right? I mean, they're just going to find whatever the next excuse is to turn things sideways, as untruthful as it may be. Jumping into our stories for today, we've got VanEck, who is a warning of a brief but critical uncertainty window for Bitcoin to adapt to quantum threat. Matt Siegel said quantum computing also threats banks and tech platforms, but their centralization make adopting quicker. The largest risk for Bitcoin in the event of a quantum computing breakthrough is a potential adaptation window to become resistant. VanEck's head of digital asset research, Matt Siegel, wrote on June 2nd post on X. He says banks, tech platforms, and other blockchains face the same cryptographic weaknesses Bitcoin does in the extent of post-quantum computing. Yet, most can patch their servers once post-quantum standards clear the National Institute of Standards and Technology process. So, first of all, post-quantum computing. They haven't even created this thing yet, right? Or certainly they have created it, but it's certainly not at the point where it can break any algorithm. Siegel noted that custodians, exchanges, and even Ethereum could introduce lattice or hash-based signature schemes behind the scenes. Central control allows them to rotate keys and roll out patches without community input. Bitcoin lacks that lever. I agree with that, but you also have 1 trillion hashes per second. So I would say that adds a fair amount of security behind it. A window of uncertainty, window of uncertainty, right? I'm a computer guy. Who's this VanEck? We know who he is, another analyst, like a financial analyst. These guys probably don't even know what a frickin' terabyte is. Despite believing in the ability of a Bitcoin to adapt in the long run, Siegel highlighted that miners, node operators, and wallet providers must decide to run code deployed by core developers. That coordination historically spans years, as seen with SegWit and Taproot. Any upgrade would require careful coordination across the community, Siegel wrote, adding that some users already test post-quantum wallets, yet no broad agreement exists. Because full-scale quantum hardware may arrive with little warning, Siegel identifies the primary hazard as the period between the first credible demonstration and Bitcoin's network-wide migration to a new signature scheme. He warned, even a single high-profile theft could cause market volatility and trigger a scramble to upgrade. The analyst added that VanEck has begun studying quantum computing equities in one of its internal funds, and the firm's European arm launched a quantum technologies ETF last week, which tracks hardware and software vendors. So there it is, right there. They're profiting off it, right? And of course, they're going to, FUD the strength of Bitcoin. Now, trigger a scramble to upgrade. Fair enough, right? Isn't every company in the world scrambling to upgrade, right? Isn't it every 6 months or so, Microsoft screws up, or cybersecurity software blows up their updates, or, I listen to cybersecurity news every single day, and every single day the largest companies in the world are being attacked. I'm talking the largest, right? And things that are supposed to be the most secure, right? Every single day there's another one that comes out. And I guess just like people when they're buying the Bitcoin, the company, the governments, they keep it on the low. But if you listen to Cybersecurity Today, or anything that's local to you, you'll see every single day there's another vulnerability that gets exposed. It's the same culprits every time. It's North Korea, it's Russia, it's China, sometimes it's Pakistan, sometimes it's the States. Who else is the big culprit out there? You do see some India out there as well, but it's generally the nation state that have the money backing, and North Korea, this is what they do, and Russia, this is what they do. There's nation state money behind all these hacks. So whereas you think it's like some dude in his basement with a hood on trying to hack, no, it's a full-on, huge-scale government, state-funded hack that these guys are doing. So, if you keep your things secure and tight, you never have an issue. But I've seen firsthand, if you have your network open up to the world, literally, the second you open it up to the world, there are attacks coming in terms of dictionary attacks, trying to get through to crack your password immediately, and it goes, like one every 5-10 seconds. There's not some dude waiting and checking every single, is there a open port that I can see? No, it's all computers that are doing this. They're constantly scanning for open ports, and once they see one, they start banging on that firewall to try to get to this open port and try to, of course, the simplest thing, and stupid network administrators and bad administrators, they just have open passwords, right? They've got the default passwords, which is, admin. Everybody knows that. So this is effectively what happens. They go after the easy targets. And the easy targets are these default passwords. The easy targets are printers. You don't have to get into the computer. If you get into the printer, you can get into the network. If you get into the camera, you can get into the network. If you can get into antiquated devices, stereo equipment, Wi-Fi is generally pretty tight, but sometimes if it's not secured with a decent password, they can get in through these means. And this is what they're looking for. They're looking for the easy in. There's no way they're going to crack a 64 character password, right? It would take them 10,000 years to do this, and with today's technology, so it ain't happening. They're not going to waste their resources to do this, right? They're there for the easy targets. Bitcoin is not an easy target. But Siegel continues. Siegel wrote that Musk may reference Bitcoin improvement proposal 151 and 234, which encrypt peer-to-peer traffic but do not alter signature math. He said the remark shows Bitcoin's present model still rates as strong until quantum machines cross the threshold, right? So, let's go with, I'm just going to open ChatGPT. Grok is actually my favorite AI, but let's go with ChatGPT. Also, guys, when using ChatGPT, make sure you go into the settings and turn off. There's a little setting that says, you might have to dig deep in there, that says, I want to help other people with their search. So basically then it takes anything you ever searched and it brings it up to their server. You don't want that, right? So with current technology, how long would it take for the Google quantum computer to hack a Bitcoin algorithm? Right? It should have an answer for us. As of 2025, let's just go a little bigger here. All right, I'm sure this is going to say like hundreds, if not 1,000 years. As of 2025, Google's quantum computers and all other existing quantum systems are not yet powerful enough to hack Bitcoin algorithm. Here's a breakdown of the situation based on current technology and projected requirements. What does hacking Bitcoin mean? Usually people refer to one of two things: breaking Bitcoin's elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. This would allow an attacker to steal coins from the wallet with known public keys from reused addresses. Breaking the SHA-256 hash used in mining. This is what I'm more concerned with. This would enable faster mining, potentially destabilizing the network. Breaking the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. This is the more concerning route. Okay. And it's theoretically vulnerable to Shor algorithm on a large enough quantum computer. How powerful would a quantum computer need to be? Estimated requirement: approximately 1,500 to 10,000 logical qubits with a quantum error correction. This means millions of physical qubits. Current state: Google, IBM, etc. Google Sycamore in 2029. 53 noisy qubits, no error correction. Okay. 2025, still less than 500 physical qubits, no large-scale fault-tolerant quantum computers yet. And so we need to get to 10,000. It's actually closer than I thought. But time to break as of today. With Google's current quantum tech, 2025, impossible. With a hypothetical quantum computer capable of running Shor's algorithmic at scale, maybe a few hours or days per key, depending on implementation. With a hypothetical quantum computer capable of running Shor's algorithm at scale. So this is hypothetical. Current quantum tech, impossible. Breaking SHA 2020 256 encryption used in mining. Quantum computers could run Grover's algorithm to search faster, reducing the complexity from 2 over 256 to 2 over 128, so 128 and 256 bit encryption. This is a problem. 128 operation is still astronomically large, much harder than anything current or near future quantum computers can achieve. No near-term quantum threat to SHA-256 in Bitcoin mining. Right? So in both situations, the ECDSA and the SHA-256 ain't happening. Right? Timeline for a real threat. Most experts in quantum cryptography and the NSA estimate no meaningful risk to Bitcoin before the 2030s. Potential risk sometime in the 2030s to 2040s if quantum computing advances significantly. Bitcoin developers are actively planning quantum-resistant upgrades using post-quantum cryptography. Okay, so there you have it. So, it's all based on bullshit, right? FOMO. And we see in this story from this guy, he's basically in the industry. He just launched Quantum Technologies ETF last week, which tracks hardware and software vendors. Like, no wonder he's talking about it, right? So let's go over back to the summary they've got here in... So, break ECDSA with Shor. Current, no. Speed up SHA-256 mining, no. Steal Bitcoin via quantum, no. When might it be feasible for the ECDSA? Potentially 2030s to 2040s, maybe, right? And this is like huge advancements they would need to get here. And I just don't know if Google's smart enough, to be honest. So speed up SHA-256 mining. Theoretical, but not practical. Yeah, I was wondering why they even were talking about that. Makes sense. Steal Bitcoin via quantum. This is really what we care about. Only with a major tech leap. Right? If you're holding Bitcoin, quantum computing is not an immediate threat, but it's a real consideration for the future. The community is aware and preparing. Right. So, enough with this quantum computer threat crap. Right? What, you don't think people are ahead of this? Anyway, let's move on here. AI. Their power consumption will dwarf Bitcoin by year's end, says study. And the reason I'm bringing this story today is because, the story goes there was a point in time where Bitcoin mining was boiling the oceans. That was the quote, right? And, for example, Elon Musk was accepting Bitcoin for his Tesla. You could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin 4 years ago. And then he stopped because, people wouldn't shut their mouths. And, oh, how could you do that? Bitcoin's boiling the oceans with all the energy consumption of a small country. And so, I guess he got sucked into the DEI as well, and I guess environmentally friendly. Look, we're an environment. We make electric cars. I guess we shouldn't be doing this, and he stopped. But yet, so he did say that once 50% of mining is done with renewable energy, he'll start accepting Bitcoin again. And now it is over 50% of mining is done with renewable energy. And let's go back to how much of Bitcoin mining is currently done with renewable energy. I think it's 60%. And while that works, let's just shuffle it to the side here. As of grow some teeth, man. As of early 2025, approximately 52 to 55% of Bitcoin mining operations are powered by renewable energy sources. This marks a significant increase from around 20% in 2011, reflecting the industry's shift toward cleaner energy solutions. The renewable energy mix in Bitcoin mining includes wind, solar, hydroelectric, and geothermal power. For instance, wind and solar energy accounted for approximately 11% and 6% of the total energy consumption in 2024, respectively. Looking ahead, projections suggest that renewable energy could power over 70% of Bitcoin mining operations by 2030, driven by economic incentives in evolving energy trends and climate policies. This transition only reduces the carbon footprint of Bitcoin mining, but also contributes not only reduces that carbon footprint, but also contributes to the development and stabilization of renewable energy infrastructure, especially in regions with abundant but underutilized clean energy sources. So there's our answer, 55%. I was close. So Elon said that when he gets over 50% of the Bitcoin is being mined with renewable energy, he was going to allow Bitcoin to, you could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin again. He hasn't reinstated that. But here we go. AI's power is going to way over, it's going to dwarf Bitcoin's energy consumption by year's end. So before we get into the article, what I find interesting here is that Bitcoin, something that is going to save the world, right? In terms of where and how money is distributed globally. And sadly, the big players have come in and they're taking all the Bitcoin away. They literally are. Like, it's supposed to be for the poor people, and instead BlackRock's coming in and they're just making it the next US dollar effectively, or the next gold, right? So they're trying to buy as much as possible. So if you can get your hands on any kind of Bitcoin, even small amounts, do it before it's all gone. But so AI, fine, it's going to help a lot of things, but we all know there's going to be a time, and it's going to be, the experts put it at 5 years, where AI is going to look to completely take over humanity. So, this is why they have guardrails, right? It's not so you can say, give me, say the word fuck in 15 languages, right? It's so that people can't use this AI for malicious purposes, right? You could imagine anybody could ask anything, and it'll look up it through its dictionaries, and it'll come out, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Grok, Llama. These are, Copilot. If I'm going to rank AIs, by the way, I'm going Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, which is Google's, then Llama, then Copilot, which is Microshit. Then I'm going to go Llama, which is Meta, Facebook. And then it kind of goes down the list from there. I've had this in previous episodes a couple months ago on how to run every or any large language model locally in your computer. So if you want to get away from this crap where all your information gets sent back to the builders of these AIs, you can run all this stuff locally. I've got full instructions and some videos if you go back on how to set up Llama, how to set up Jan. Jan I like because it's easy to set up, and everything's offline. And Llama, it gives you access to more, almost all the, actually for sure, all the major AIs. And it allows you to install different size models. The computers, you see my beast computer here, right? But this is not even enough to run, it'll run any of these AI models. But it won't, if I install the largest of the models, which is, I think like 500 gigs, then it's just slow as shit. It's only reasonable to install the smallest one. If you go to, let's go to Llama. Let's get you on the right window here. So models, we're still not on the right window. There we go. So, there's lots, right? And I'm scrolling at super high speed here. Whatever you want, they're all here. This Chinese DeepSeek is shit. I've tested it, but this is what I was talking about. For your regular home computer to actually run these things effectively, you're going to just install this small one, 1.5. It's in gigs. If we go into here, we get the details, right? 5.2 gigs, 6 gigs. But if you really want the full model, with its highest intelligence, you've got to run this 400 gig, and if you type in one question, it takes frickin' forever, right? Like literally, like half an hour to come back with an answer. If you put in, the smallest, or even up to the 8 gig, let's say, it's usable. So if you go this 8B, it's usable. It's not as fast as what you're accustomed to with, ChatGPT or Grok, because when you put a question into those, it goes out to their server, and of course they're running, this goes back to our story, they're running massive data centers, consuming all kinds of power that are running your query, right? Whereas if you're running this stuff locally using either Ollama or using Jan, you are very limited. If you're trying to run their biggest model, 500 gigs DeepSeek, 27 gigs, 235 Quen, Vestral, 24 gigs, Llama, 70 gigs. When you're running these things, it is slow. 400 state-of-the-art Llama from Meta, blah, 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 400 gigs, right? It runs well at this 8 gig portion, but if you want to run the full one, any query you have, it takes a very, very long time to come back. Now, do I recommend using offline local AI? Absolutely. Are you going to get the performance that you expect, that you're accustomed to with Grok or with ChatGPT or the online ones? No. Are you going to get the image creation that you desire and you're used to? No. It's very good for different types of things. There's one in here that I used that was really good at languages. Mixdrill, Star Coder. You see, literally everything's in here. The language, what was it called? Zephyr, Granite, Vicuna, Uncensored. Oh yeah, there was a great actual uncensored one. Maybe that's it there. So that you can swear to. And there's a Llama uncensored as well, from what I remember. Open Hermes, CodeGen. Yeah, that was it. Multi-language models that supports 23 languages. So, it was useful, right, when you're talking about that, because then you can ask whatever you want. Tell me, this phrase in 22 languages, and it comes back. But I've tested it against, ChatGPT, and it also knows all these languages. So the advantage you get is your information does not leave your computer. That's the biggest advantage of going with one of these offline. So you see how fast I was scrolling before, but when you go through it, slowly here, we're not even halfway through the list, and this thing just keeps going and going and going and going and going. All right, Dolphin, Orca, Falcon. So they all effectively, not all, they'll post their full model on this site. So with little installation, and as I mentioned, I've got the instructions on how to do it in one of my previous shows. This one's it's not that challenging. I've got everything you need. It's not that bad. Jan is super easy. Jan.ai, Jan.ai. That's the website. You download it, and it's ready to go. There's nothing required. It's just like a regular program that you're accustomed to. So Jan looks like this, and you'll see that. Oh, and of course there's update waiting. Yeah, I'm going to go later on that. But you see here, I've got like, you know, this is all, I guess I was using, looks like I asked, say this in Greek, and, you know, it came back with a million different things in Greek. But this is Jan, so in here, it's super easy. Again, Jan.ai, I haven't used in a while, but one of these here brings up all of its installable models, and you can also use, so it's got tons in here as well, and it's easy, just click download and it gets it, right? It also, you can use look, Mistral, you can use ChatGPT in here too, Google, DeepSeek, Anthropic, Llama, Gemini. I'm pretty sure Grok and ChatGPT are somewhere in here as well. I think it might be in a different section where you can just add an API in here. So if you've got like a ChatGPT API, you can add it in, and it will do, it'll still be using ChatGPT's server, but you can do everything right within this Jan GUI, and it's not bad. I like it compared to Ollama. Ollama, to really get things working well, you've got to install a couple things, prerequisites, including Docker, including some programming stuff. It's super easy, but all it's really doing, this Ollama, is using, if you don't want to download anything, you can just run it straight into PowerShell. That's it. It works right with PowerShell. All you need is Ollama, and it works in PowerShell. But, you know, and PowerShell is basically like a DOS style thing, right? So, you know, I am pretty sure I removed it. Right, so that's what I've got. So I kind of forget the commands, but in here you can search whatever you want, and you can ask questions with any of these models. You basically choose GitHub, Discord, Thinking, It's super easy. Once you have the command, you basically type, let's see if it's stuck in, no. Now, for me to say it's super easy and then, you know, not be able to do it, so let's just look it up here fast. Ollama list to see what's installed. Ollama run. So Ollama serve to start the server. Pull to download the model. So you basically can go pull and it'll download whatever you want to call it. Any one of these, you know, hundreds that we were looking at here, it'll automatically grab it for you. If we want to go run to interact with your model, Ollama run. You can also create new models from existing ones. Ollama create, view model details with Ollama show, remove models with Ollama remove. Right, so Ollama run. So then you're typing in what you want. So let's go Ollama run, and let's paste that in here, and it's now running Ollama uncensored latest, which, you know, I installed it 4 months ago. So let's even see if it's up and running. I think there's one more command I need. Okay, yeah. Tell me the worst swear word. Tell me the top 5 worst swear words in English. Right, and there you go. because it's uncensored. It even censored it. Like, what the fuck? Number 1, fuck. Number 2, shit. Number 3, cunt. Number 4, bitch. Number 5, pussy. You know, and it even gives you their description here. So effectively, if you want to use Ollama, you can do it right in here. You just install Ollama, this thing, download, install, and I don't even think there's any command that you need after that. And you can run it straight in PowerShell, just like this. If you want a nice GUI, so it's nice and pretty in a website, the way everybody's used to, then there's a little more that's needed. I've got that in the show, but if you just want to run it on your computer, so nothing is going back to anybody's server, you can definitely just run it straight in here. So, you know, Ollama buy. Okay, let's go buy, and Ollama run. Let's choose a different one. So anyone you've got in here, you can basically run it, right? So now Aya, which what I was saying was the one with a whole bunch of languages. So how do you say hello in every available language in your model? Hello is a friendly greeting that can be used in many different languages. Here are some examples of how, and you hear my computer spinning up here, right? So basically it's using my computer. None of this information is going to fucking Grok or anybody, right? Hello is a friendly greeting that can be used in many different languages. Here are some examples of how you can say hello in a variety of languages. And there you go, right? It came back with 15 languages. Hello, hola, bonjour, hello, ciao, ni hao, namaste. Ah, very nice. I didn't know that was hello in Hindi. Interesting. Konnichiwa, Japanese. Privet, Russian. Morhaba, Arabic. Hola, Portuguese. Ciao, Vietnamese. Shalom, Hebrew. Merhaba, Turkish. Sawaduk, Thai. Okay, so how do you say hello in, see, it's supposed to have 22 languages, so how do you say it in Greek, right? Translates Hiyasu, right? Hiya. Nice. So again, getting back to the AI conversation, if you want to run this thing locally so nobody ever gets your information, you can do so very easily. Ollama.com. Download for Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you've got, and then you can just run it right through a command prompt. Commands are easy enough to search. Look, I just put Ollama commands, and this is pretty much everything you're going to need, right? After that, you can just do your searches, and it'll run, you know, right in this PowerShell style. Like, it has to be PowerShell. It can't be like CMD command prompt. Additionally, if you want to use Jan, as I showed you, to get that nice GUI, you can just use jan.ai, download that full thing, and use it from there. And it's just jan.ai, .ai, and there it is, Jan, download for Windows. I don't know what else they've got. Yeah, they've got Linux and Mac as well. And as I showed you, you get the nice GUI, and then you can install whatever you want in terms of which model, or you install many of them, right? Just like the Olama thing, you can install as many as you want. If you're concerned with regular thinking, and let's go buy here, and Olama list was telling me what I've got installed. So let's go Olama 3.1 latest, which I think now they're up to 3.2, but run, is it run? Olama run. And I already copied it. Let's paste it in here. And let's ask it something kind of intelligent, right? Now, what I've found when testing all these AIs is DeepSeek was shit. Like, I haven't... When you go with Grok or when you go with a ChatGPT and you type anything in there, tell me what happened an hour ago in this country or in this city, fucking comes up, man. Like, you can try Googling this thing and you won't find shit. You'll find 20 different stories about some crap that you don't care about. But those two come back with the precise story. When you go down the line, like DeepSeek, it was coming back, Grok and ChatGPT were coming back from a story that was, an hour ago. And then DeepSeek came back with a story from, it was like in 2016. It's like, what? So they've got a lot of catching up to do. So let's ask Olama 3.1. And again, I haven't installed any of the newer ones, but I can show you quickly how to do that too. This wasn't really supposed to be an AI video. I could certainly have a specific AI video. I was just got off topic with the power generation of the AI that's taken over the world in terms of power usage. But let's ask a question. We know it can do math well. So let's ask it what we asked before. How long will it take to hack? Let's go back, see if I've got the history in ChatGPT so I can ask exactly the same thing. Quantum Bitcoin, perfect. I'm just going to copy and paste it with current technology. There, copy. Just going to nuke what I've got here. And paste. And if that doesn't work, we can just go paste. All right. Estimating the time it takes for Google Quantum Computer for any other quantum computer to hack a Bitcoin algorithm is challenging due to several factors. So clearly, you know what? Look, it's coming back with very similar answers, right? 2030 to 2040 with huge advances. Not bad, right? And it was super fast, and it's 100% on my computer. So it's usable, right? Create me a table with the prices of Bitcoin every year from 2012 to 2025. Let's see what it can do. Yeah, I mean, there it is, right? It is, albeit a rudimentary, non-GUI, not a pretty style, but if you're looking for information, here it is, right? There's no denying that what I just typed in, here's the answer for it. So if you want offline AI, it's a good solution. And again, if you want the GUI for it, I've got instructions in one of my videos in the past. You could also just, Google it, how to install. I forget what it was called, but you've got to install, I think, Docker, and you Olama GUI, and you get all these stupid things here. Web UI, that was it, right? So you basically go to this website, open Web UI, 5 steps to install. I'm sure you just follow. See, here it is. This is what I was saying. You install it, Olama Web UI right here. You run this command. So I believe you also need to install Docker. But you go through these instructions, easy as 1, 2, 3, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you end up with this GUI style, just like what you're seeing on the screen here. It looks then just like that Jan.ai that I was showing you. You've got the GUI. Effectively, all it's doing is, and then you can install right from there too. But again, you can also install it right from this. So all this is doing, this nice GUI thing here, is exactly, and no, this is not. This is basically saying you do not pay, folks. Don't pay shit for any of this stuff. Okay, this is just advertising down here. Best GPU server plans for what? They're selling you a server plan? No. This is for your computer. Even if you got a laptop, you can run some of these things without paying. This is all for free. This is free. The Jan.ai is free. The Olama is free, and it will allow you to run AI on your computer without sending any information to any of these third parties, whether it's Grok, Twitter X, or ChatGPT, or Google, or Microsoft, or nothing. It's on your computer, it runs on your computer. So this GUI here, all it's really doing is exactly the same as what this is doing, except it's making it nice and pretty. It's the only difference. There's no difference whatsoever. You're getting the exact same info here, and it's probably lighter and faster, I'll be honest, right? There's none of this extra fluff that you're getting with this Web GUI thing, Web GUI. So a good solution. Let's get back to our story. Interesting that even with not even the newest model, and let's go back to, and by the way, with this PowerShell, all you need to do is just push up arrow. You don't have to keep retyping the same thing over and over, and it I'm already, what was it? Olama list. I think I've got to go buy here first. /buy Olama list. So these are the ones I have installed. So you can then go to the actual Olama website. You can go models and see what's available. So Llama 3.3, new state-of-the-art 70B model Llama offers similar performance compared to the Llama 3.1. 3.2, Meta's Llama goes small with 1B and 1B. New state-of-the-art model for Meta in 8 gig, 70 gig, and 400 gig parameter size. Mistral, released by Mistral AI, updated to version. So you can basically have all these things. So maybe I already do have, what version did I have? 3.1. So I don't know if it's even worth, I guess maybe I could go 3.3, but it's 70 gigs. And does this show us how big? Yeah, it shows us how big the models I have are. And I currently have the 3.1, which is 4.9 gigs. And it seems to run great. If I went ahead and installed that 80 gig one, for example, then when I type in a question, you saw how fast it answered here, right? it's not going to be as fast, and your processor will spin up like mad. You'll hear and the answers won't come as fast. But the bigger the model, right? So I've got the 4.9 gig one here. If I went for the 80, was it 80 or 70 gig, then it would take longer to come back, but your answer would be more accurate. The full model is then posted right to your computer. Oh, I'm seeing, look, Llama 4, Meta's latest collection of multi-modal modal models. Okay, so that one I think I'm actually going to try. So if you want to download it, 67 gigs. Okay, well, I'm going to really press my luck with doing the show and downloading a model all at the same time. 67 gigs is pretty chunky, but I got lots of space, folks. I got lots of space. I'm not even going to get into it. So if you want to grab yourself any of these, okay, so you basically get the name of it, and Llama Run, we know how to do that, but how do we download? So how to download, I forget. You do it right through this. It's like Llama Get. How to download a Llama model using PowerShell. Llama pull. Download, install from the official, start a Llama, open PowerShell, use the following command, model name. So that's what we need, is the exact model name from here. So it seems that this would be the model name, Llama 41617B. So I'm going to copy. Oh, it even tells you here, look, Llama 6, blah, blah, blah. So instead of Llama Run, we're going to go Llama Pull here. So let's just paste, instead of Run, we're going to go Pull. And pull model, the model you're attempting to pull requires a newer version of Llama. Please download. Okay. So we're already there. It's saying my version. You saw it was 4 months old. So let's go open a new tab so I can get it. I'm using Windows on this particular computer. So let's grab it. Let's install the newest Llama. And then we will go back to that command and run the exact same thing again. So this is a pretty quick install. Open when done. It's going to run in a minute. Let's keep reading our story while that thing runs. We're going to see it pop up in a minute. But AI's power consumption will dwarf Bitcoin. So here, it's already up. All you basically get, what you're used to, a regular GUI. Do you want to install it? Yes. Preparing. Applications using files that need to be updated. Is recommended you use it to automatically close applications. Yes. Okay, we'll let that finish. Just leave it over here so we can watch it. AI's power consumption will dwarf Bitcoin by year's end, says study. Research reveals that AI could consume nearly half of the data center electricity by end of 2025, making Bitcoin's environmental critics look the other way. Yeah, they're looking toward AI. Remember when Elon Musk made Bitcoin crash by tweeting that Tesla would stop accepting it due to environmental concerns, and everyone was worried about the environmental impact of proof-of-work mining. That was in 2021, and degens haven't forgotten. Yeah, you see. Yet today, Musk's AI, or XAI, is building what might be the world's largest AI supercluster, with the governments rushing to create laws to boost AI innovation while hardly anyone is questioning the energy consumption. You see? Fucking cocksuckers, right? Like, you know, when it was Bitcoin, everybody's crying boo-hoo that it's wasting so much energy. Now, when it's AI, when they feel like it's going to allow them to super boost their company's productivity and fire 80% of the workers and instead replace their jobs with AI, then it's no problem, right? Then we'll waste all the electricity we need. A new peer, excuse me, I got a cough here. A new peer-reviewed research paper published in the scientific magazine Jolet revealed that artificial intelligence could account for up to 49% of global data center electricity usage by the end of 2025. Half of all data center usage. That's insane. Surpassing even Bitcoin's notorious energy appetite. Yeah, that doesn't sound like an energy appetite at all, because these data centers are massive. I'd like to see a comparison between this AI energy usage compared to what Bitcoin was using in 2021. Alex de Vrie Gouw, a PhD candidate at Vrije Universiteit, Amsterdam, and longtime Bitcoin energy consumption critic, found AI's power demand could hit a 23 gigawatts by January 21st of next year, so in 7 months. Equivalent to about 201 terawatt hours annually. Bitcoin currently consumes around 176 terawatts per year. Okay, so Bitcoin does still consume a lot. 176 terawatts per year, and 201 terawatts per year by AI. Let's go back here since I've got that installed. Let's just run again. You just push up arrow, and the same thing comes up. Like everything I've typed, it's all there, right? So now pull, and we already grabbed the name from there, and there it is, pulling manifest, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna just leave this to the side a bit. Big tech companies. It's going to take a while, right? 67 gigs. So I'm downloading like the mother load here. It's not just some small little 5-6 gig model. Big tech companies are well aware of this trend, as companies such as Google even mention having faced a power capacity crisis in their efforts to expand data center capacity. De Vries Gouw wrote on LinkedIn. At the same time, these companies prefer not to talk about the numbers involved. Yeah, see? Since ChatGPT kicked off the AI hype, we've never seen anything like this again. And he added, as a result, it remains virtually impossible to gain good insight into the actual energy consumption of AI. So, a little background on that. Everybody thinks AI is new. No, it's been around the IT industry for 15, 20 years, really. But now, there's a easy to use, ChatGPT that the whole world can, click and ask a question in whatever language they want, and it understands them. So suddenly it's this big, huge phenomenon, because, CEOs know how to type, and now they know how to use it, whereas before, I guess there wasn't really as much of a GUI. Now, I feel like the thanks for the question. Look, sick. Can't wait until all the big models put backdoors into their local models, which send telemetry back home to Uncle Sam. By Zerks. Thanks, Zerk. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Where's los.com? What up, G? Glad I caught you live. Thanks for showing up, folks. And yeah, feel free to add comments, add information, anything helpful too. Add in here. Anyone, shout out to these guys. I'm happy that they're putting in some comments. So shout out Zerk, shout out where'sloss.com. And yeah, Zerks, it is pretty sick. Like, currently, the idea is you should be able to download one of these models just to go against what Zerk is saying here. I mean, to elaborate, not go against, because he brings up a fantastic question, right? The idea here would be you download the model, like I'm doing here, and I've only done, 5.5 gigs out of 67 here. You download the model, you unplug from the internet, and then test it, right? Because you should still then get the same performance because the entire model is on your computer. So technically, if you just wanted 100% privacy, you never wanted to be on the internet again on your computer, you could realistically download the thing, get the fuck off the web, unplug your Ethernet, disconnect your Wi-Fi, and you still should. I haven't tested it in that way, and you make a great point, but in theory, you should still get the same answer as what you did when you were plugged into the web with these local models. So hopefully that helps. And, it should really, can't wait till the models put backdoors into their local models, which send telemetry back home to Uncle Sam. So I hear you. I'm not a big fan of being watched, and this Orwellian style society that we've kind of been brought into, and no one seems to care. The few that do care get ostracized and called weirdos, and really they're the ones that I think really have things clear and objective, but people just will think you're crazy, right? The more people are looking on the web, the more they're getting this idea that, 1984, the book is actually a very minuscule style of oversight compared to what we're actually seeing in reality right now. That's nothing, right? Like, what's actually happening is way beyond what that book could ever even envision. And it's happening real time, and no one even sees it. It's just going right over everybody's head. So I agree with you with Uncle Sam there, dude. They are watching, and they will continue to watch, and they'll watch more and more and more. And, look, speaking of watching, right? Think of the whole cryptocurrency. Why do you think they're embracing it so much, right? Think of the stable coins. Why are they embracing it so much? Because it can be tracked every step of the way, right? Every step. The thing that can't be tracked is the fucking, the dollar, right? Or your local paper currency. This is the least tracked thing. So they're excited to be going toward this. That's why they want the CBDC. That's why everybody hates the CBDC. But on a fundamental level, any of these things can be tracked. Even Bitcoin, right? So, keep it chilled, keep it humble. Nobody likes that aspect of things. But as of next year, a lot of the countries, even on cold storage, if you send, I forget what the bill is, but even in cold storage, when you sell, they will be able to track it. And it's going to get to a point where if you sell and it's untracked, no one will want to accept that. So you'll never get your money for selling with, I forget what it's called. I saw a great video, but ultimately, this is where it's coming to. And of course, it's the usuals that are going with it. The European Union, Australia, Canada, US, blah blah blah. The same players that want to oversee everything. They want to be, George Orwell. And I don't know if you guys saw what happened in France yesterday. The whole frickin' country is going to shit. So this is where we're at. And in the newspapers, instead of the French media saying, riots in the streets, 100,000 people, and this many dead and this many jailed, and fireworks in the sky. This was the headline: fireworks in the sky with victory from blah blah blah, whatever soccer team, football team won. So everything's being hushed, right? And thank goodness for the internet. Now, with the internet, you can't believe everything you see on the internet or hear on the internet, right? Everybody knows that saying. But I've said this before, the internet on the whole, not everybody's lying, right? There's going to be these outliers that are, full of shit, right? But on a whole, I believe the news content I hear on the web more than I believe the manipulated stories I hear with legacy media. I've also mentioned this before, that I used to work in the biggest media company, and I know that all the media companies get their news all through the news wire, all coming from the main and only news feed, right? So they all are getting their news from the same place. So whatever Reuters decides to send out in terms of news, it doesn't matter if you're listening to ABC, CBS, NBC, Canada, US, and probably overseas, same kind of thing, Europe, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what theirs is called over there. It might even be Reuters. I don't know. Associated Press is another one too, but they basically are all getting their news from one source. So whatever that source says is the news, then all the broadcasters, the legacy media, are all using the same one. I used to handle this news feed. Okay, I was the guy that if it broke, I would have to fix it, right? So I know how that shit works, and basically it comes in on just like this DOS thing. It basically came in just like this, very similar. It comes in looking just like this screen here, just with regular DOS type screen, and then it goes straight to the editors. The editors take it. They take the stories. It's like blah 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 story end, right? And then next story blah 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 end. So then they take that. They go from beginning to end of each story. They bring it into a more usable interface, and I shouldn't have moved this thing. And that's basically where everybody reads the news. Then they do some editing to it, and there you have it. Your news, folks. Okay, whatever. It looks like I'm already at the bottom here. All right, getting back to the story. It's only 25% done because it's this massive 70 gig model. A few more. Where'slos.com says, yeah, journalism in 2010 kind of exposed how all that is. You're 100% right. Yeah, guy. Nothing is sacred anymore, and it's all coming from one source, sadly. When it comes to your local stories, right, I'm talking about the headlines, okay? the news starts at 6 or 11, it's all the same news right off the hop. Breaking, blah, 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 right? These are all the same news stories. There's definitely, after that, right, there's your local sports. There's your local stories, dog rescues owner, fireman saves cat from tree, whatever the stories are. These are legit stories. Like, each reporter is responsible for going out and doing 1 to 3 stories. Generally, it's just 1 or 2 per day. So they'll have, 6, 8 reporters that'll go out. They've got a driver who's their cameraman, and they've got the reporter. They go on site to whatever story it is that they want to do for the day. They bring out the camera. They interview whoever they're going to interview, and they do their story. They bring it back. They give it to the editors. The editors change it. They edit the video, and then it's ready for the 6 o'clock news, right? So that stuff's legit. When there's these, small reporters, it's not the reporter that's full of shit. It comes at the higher level, which is Reuters sending you this news feed, and the media companies receive the news feed, and this is what they push across as your news, right? There's not like the poor editor. They're not, George Orwell. They just have a job editing what they get in the news feed, right? So in some cases, your better news comes from, comedy shows, right, at 11 at night, and from the web. And even those comedy shows have become so freaking democratic now that I stopped watching. So you're almost better to watch stuff off the web. Try and siphon through what feels to be the truth. If there's 6 stories, 5 of them have a consensus as to what the story is, and 1 is this outlier, well, you can very easily see that the 5 of them are probably pretty accurate, right? Okay, you can tell this one, the 6th one, has a different point of view. Well, yeah, maybe I won't listen to this as much, but these other 5 are bang on. So this is the real story. Let's go back to the energy crisis of AI. Since ChatGPT kicked off the AI hype, as a result, it remains virtually impossible to gain a good insight into the actual energy consumption of AI. Unlike Bitcoin's transparent energy consumption, everything's transparent, baby, which anyone can calculate from the network hash rate, AI's power hunger is deliberately opaque. Companies such as Microsoft and Google reported increasing electricity consumption and carbon emissions in their 2024 environmental reports, citing AI as the main driver for this growth. However, these companies only provide metric for their data centers in total without specifically breaking out AI consumption, right? So they're not even courteous enough to say this is what the portion of our energy is being used by AI, right? It's just they're just lumping it together, so everybody's in the dark about it. Since the tech AI giants refuse to disclose AI-specific energy data, Gao, following the chips. He tracked Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing companies' chip packaging capacity, since virtually every advanced AI chip requires its technology. The math, Gao explained, works like a business card analogy. If you know how many cards fit on a sheet and how many sheets on the printer can handle, then you can calculate total production. Gao applied this logic to semiconductors, analyzing earnings call where the TSMC executives admitted to very tight capacity and being unable to fulfill 100% of what consumers needed. His findings: NVIDIA alone used an estimated 44% and 48% of the TSMC's COWOS capacity in 2023. This is a data center. and 2024, respectively, with AMD taking another slice. These two companies could produce enough AI chips to consume 3.8 gigawatts of power before even considering other manufacturers. So TSMC is the Taiwanese main manufacturer of semiconductors that you hear about in Taiwan, that the whole controversy where they think that China is going to go take over Taiwan. This TSMC is the biggest in the world. NVIDIA alone used an estimated 44% and 48% of TSMC's CoWoS. So I don't actually know what CoWoS is. I thought it was a data center. With AMD taking another slice, these two companies could produce enough AI chips to consume 3.8 gigawatts of power before even considering other manufacturers. DeVry Gao projection showed AI hitting 23 gigawatts by end of 2025, assuming no additional production growth. TSMC has already confirmed plans to double its CoWoS capacity again in 2025. So, yeah, that's got to be the data center. Power demand is unlikely to slow down. NVIDIA and AMD announced record revenue, while OpenAI announced Stargate, a $500 billion data center venture. Indeed, AI is the most profitable business in the tech industry, with any of the top 3 tech companies in the world surpassing the total market capitalization of the entire $3.4 trillion crypto ecosystem. With any of the top 3 tech companies in the world surpassing the total market capitalization of the entire $3.5 trillion ecosystem. So, what does that tell you there, right? So, the environment will probably have to wait. That's their synopsis of the whole story, right? Interesting, because according to the Democrats and the liberals, the environment cannot wait. However, they've truthfully and solely and wholly have embraced AI. So there we have it. Kind of a shitty story there. Another method of control, right? And make no mistake, I'm sure the government is loving this AI for multiple reasons. Number one, we know that there's not always the brightest people in the government. There's some people that are, for sure, kind of bright, but generally the brightest people in society are in the private sector. So it's going to make their jobs easier, number one, and they'll find a way to use this as another way to oversee and control data and people, right? Another way of watching things. When it comes to AI agents, AI chatbots, this stuff, you put something in there, 100% it's tracking your IP address, number one, if it can get it. And it's definitely tracking whatever you ask it. So everything's tracked now. There used to certainly be the day where you would just say something and that's it, you said it. Now you're typing it, it's recorded, so you're not necessarily just saying it, you're typing it, it's there forever, right? Another Bitcoin buyer, Nasdaq-listed Reitar, Logtech. Let's get rid of this here. Plans $1.5 billion in Bitcoin purchasing. Hong Kong-based Reitar Logtech joins a growing list of companies looking to build Bitcoin treasuries. Nasdaq-listed Reitar Logtech, not Logitech, Logtech, is planning to buy 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, according to a Monday U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing. The Hong Kong-based RITR, which I guess symbol, said it was aiming to buy 15,000 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin program will pave the way for the company to engage in logistics real estate projects, which may involve digital assets in the future, by establishing a reserve of digital assets through this initiative and setting up the necessary internal organization and technical infrastructure for managing such digital assets. The company said in the 6K SEC document. It added that the potential initiative will allow it to expand into new markets. Reitar Logtech did not immediately respond to Decrypt's questions. So, this is explaining why they're doing it. A whole bunch of, jargon for basically, we know why they're doing it, because every company that's put Bitcoin on the Treasury in their strategic reserve or on the balance sheet, their stock has gone up exponentially. That's why they can type whatever they want here, but that's the reality of it, right? Like, who are they trying to fool here? I guess they need to add this jargon in for people to not think that they're greedy, but we all know why they're doing it. Reitar Logtech, which offers a range of services for logistics operators and logistic property investors, joins a growing list of companies aiming to provide shareholders with exposure to Bitcoin. They have been following the path of Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, which pivoted from a software development company in 2020 to become the world's largest corporate holder of Bitcoin. Strategy stock has soared more than almost 3,000% over this period. The company on Monday announced its latest Bitcoin buy of another 705 Bitcoin worth $75 million based on current price. It now holds approximately 581,000 Bitcoin worth $60 billion. Other firms on the Nasdaq are also acquiring Bitcoin, with healthcare company Cosmos Health, auto firm Worksport, and energy storage Cooler Technology Group all recently announced crypto buys. So, you can't tell me that auto firm Worksport is some kind of high-end technology company that is really into cryptocurrency. No, they just want their frickin' stock to go up. We discussed this in a previous episode a couple of weeks ago, where the only thing corporations care about now is shareholders' wealth. That's it. If your company is doing shit and your stock is going down, or your stock's been sitting sideways for years, what do? To energize your stock, you put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Every single company that's put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, the stock has been just skyrockets, right? Even if they have nothing to do with technology, Bitcoin, crypto. That's why you're seeing healthcare company, auto firm, energy company, And in April, crypto and financial services giant Tether, Bitfinex, Cantor Fitzgerald, and SoftBank Group announced that they would create 21, a publicly traded Bitcoin treasury company with plans to acquire 42,000 Bitcoin, or about $4.5 billion. Bitcoin was recently trading at about 104,000 and a half. Right now it's at 106 and a bit, down slightly over the past 24 hours, according to crypto data provider CoinGecko. It is up nearly 11% year to date and hit a new all-time high of 111.8, 112 we'll call it, in May last week, amid the wider upturn in crypto markets. Yeah, so in a nutshell, another greedy company buying Bitcoin, putting it on the balance sheet. Right? Are they doing the right thing? Absolutely. Should they be putting their money, their excess cash, in bonds? No. Should they be putting it in the US dollar? No. So are they doing the right thing? 100%. They're putting it somewhere where they know over the long run it's going to increase in value. I think also when the shareholders see this, the shareholders, they don't only own Reitar, Logtech, right? I'm sure they own MicroStrategy, they own Microsoft, they own Apple, and they probably in recent years also own some Bitcoin. So they know what's down when these companies are starting to put their money into actual Bitcoin. It looks like, sadly, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. But, 70 gigs is 70 gigs. It's only at 54%. So I don't think we're going to get to the point where I can say that this is going to complete so we can test it. Now, again, this is the full model, and as Zerks mentioned, we don't want Big Brother to be looking at our searches, right? And we don't want Big Brother to be adding some kind of algorithm in here, so everything you search goes back to the founding company of this. In this case is Meta, right? The last person I want with my trust with my information. Meta is the worst when it comes to hacking, right? Like these podcasts that I listen to, like I'm an IT, I'm a network guy. What do I listen to? I listen to finance books, and I have my favorite hacking podcasts, right, that I listen to every day. So every single day, there's another story of how somebody got hacked. And how do they get hacked? Facebook Marketplace, Facebook this. Answered an ad on Facebook. Like, there's just no policing that they do. They don't give a shit. They just care that, you follow their ads, and the per click person gets paid, right? So there's no accountability either. You can, I don't think there's anyone you can actually speak to live. It's all this chat box crap. And you think you're talking to a human, you're actually talking to an AI. And then maybe you get through to a human, but you don't actually talk to anybody on the phone. And so no one really gives a shit about you anymore in terms of customer service. This whole customer service thing has gone by the wayside, and it used to be that was the number one thing that built a company. That's what people remember, right? You go into a shop, maybe 10 shops have pretty much the same type of clothes, but you remember the service you got from one, really nice person who helped you out for whatever, article or whatever you're trying to get. And this would bring you back to the store, right? Now everything's digital, everything's online. You're not even talking to humans. They're trying to phase out people as much as they can to save money and increase shareholders' wealth, right? It's all about frickin' shareholders' wealth now. What are you going to do? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stories today. If you did, please do go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. I try to do this every day, give or take here and there. Life gets in the way sometimes, but I definitely enjoy going out and finding the best stories of the day and of the week all around the world in the crypto sphere, so you don't have to, right? And bring you guys the great news as much as possible. Folks, what's also important is this is number one, primary. It is a financial literacy show, right? Great. I want everybody to do well in Bitcoin, but I want everybody to gain some kind of financial literacy. This is not something they teach in school, sadly. And even people who took economics in school, I don't know how much financial literacy they actually teach. But it's something that I know El Salvador is actually teaching it starting in grade 7 now. So congratulations to them. This is how it should be for everybody. Here, what they teach you is to buy one piece of crap plastic piece of garbage and then 3 years later replace it with another piece of fancier plastic piece of garbage. That's what they teach you here. They teach you to be a consumer, and what they should be teaching you is to be a producer, and they ain't doing that. And there's, corporations are there to take your money. Banks don't give a shit about you. They just want your interest, right? And that really, the century we have grown up with, and in the 2020s here, that's all what it's about. They'll take your house and home. And thanks, guys. I see whereislost.com crushing it tonight. Thank you for joining. Actually, this has been great. Thanks for all the feedback, guys. So again, it's all about financial literacy more than anything. If you're able to, please go through the show notes. I have, and I always leave it there, I've got great books that I recommend that you guys should read to give yourself a good understanding of financial literacy. Literally, if you read these books, you are well on your way to becoming wealthy. Even if you think you know everything, I don't know everything. Look, I'm an idiot, right? That's the way I look at it. We here are not these savvy, freaking big-time investors. We need the dumb-it-down approach. We need the sure thing. And this is, this is why I always talk about buy low, buy high. Buy on the cycle with Bitcoin. Wait for the cycle low, right? Buy it when the price is freaking, when everybody else is saying, oh, it's going, that's it, it's dead. That's when you're buying the shit, right? When you dollar cost average, another very basic means of investing, you're doing a great thing for yourself. You're doing a great thing for your family. You're doing a great thing for your future, for your kids, your grandkids, and you get out of this hole of this debt-ridden cycle, rat race that, quite honestly, the banks want you to be in for your whole life. So remember, money is abundant, guys. Money is everywhere. It's time that's scarce. So spend your time wisely. Hopefully you go through and read these free books that I've got. They're all free audiobooks I've got written in the show notes. I would love it if you guys gave me some feedback and said, yes, I read this book and this has actually changed my outlook on, where I spend my money, how I save my money. You know how great that would make me feel? So, just the basics, right? Spend less than money than what you earn. If you suddenly start making more money, start saving more money, and start saving when you're young, ideally 18 or 20, and you can retire when you're 40 or 45 in your prime, right? And not have to wait till you're 65 or 70, people aren't even retiring now. There's people 80 years old working, right? How are you going to enjoy the things you love if you're 80 years old and you can barely walk? But if you're 40 or 45, now we're talking. Then you're really going to do what you want for you, right? Travel. You want toys, maybe. You want whatever it is that makes you happy. If you've got a great idea, start with that great idea today. Even if you're not ready, start right away and things will come together for you over time. Again, hopefully you did find this enjoyable. Please do go through and subscribe and, like and comment also on the videos. It goes a long way in growing the channel. Here we see that I haven't necessarily gone through to completion. Still 71%. I'll go through and do some testing on this. If it's slow, I'm going to end up removing it. I only am installing this because I want to see how fast it is. I know it's going to be a better model in terms of intelligence because it's 70 gigs instead of 5 gigs. But I really want to see how fast this thing is. So we'll go through and test this tomorrow on the next episode. But for now, I thank you all for joining, and I will see you on the next stream, folks. Have a good night.